Go down here and break all the fuel lines loose. See how easy that was. Now you can imagine trying to do that with an open end wrench. So spin the fuel jumper tubes off. There's two different lengths, the short ones and the long ones. We're just going to set him up here out of the way for right now. Set them up out of the way. We're going to take this one right here. You can see that the injector has started to go down. Take the two rocker arm hold down bolts out. Sometimes you don't even have to take them out. Sometimes you can just leave them dangling there to help keep the shaft from trying to walk out on you. We'll try it first, but we take this, and once you get the bolts loose, you flop that over out of your way. Just like that. You can leave the bolts in there. So here you have a valve bridge and a valve bridge. You don't have a valve bridge if you have a 2-valve head. This is your fuel injector in the middle. So we're going to take out this bolt out of the fuel injector, and I've made this little deal here, which is an old fuel injector, and I hollowed it out for checking compression on a Detroit. When the engines, you check it with the engine running. So if you was wanting to check compression, you'd pull this injector out, you'd set this down in the hole, tighten it down, hook your compression gauge onto it, run the engine at an idle, and compare your compression to what it's supposed to be. You'd also have to put I have a jumper tube in there that jumps the two fuel lines together so that the fuel continues to run throughout the head, but it eliminates this one cylinder. It's one of these, only I bent it to the point where it shortened itself up to go from one fuel line to the other. It just bypasses, that's all it does. But anyhow, this thing's stuck so tight, we're going to try to put air pressure on this at the same time we're trying to turn it. Don't try that at home. This is a counterclockwise engine, and we're going to heat the block up really hot, and then we're going to put air on it, and then we're going to try to get it freed up because it is just stuck tight. Oh man, is it stuck tight. But anyhow, we're going to pull that fuel injector out of there next. So here's your bolt and your crab. Set it off the side. A little set of Mac pry bars work real good. You get right behind that fuel injector and just pry up on him a little bit. And as he slides up and off of the rack, sometimes you got to jiggle the rack a little bit, but he'll slide up and off of the rack like that. So it's got N65 fuel injectors in it. A lot of times what happens when they run away with herself, the injector rocker arm, if the engine's been sitting for a long time, the injector rocker arm comes up here and it tries to push the plunger down. Well, if there's anything in the plunger, any kind of rust or any kind of corrosion or anything in here, that plunger stays down. When it stays down, then this rack won't move. There's a little gear on the end of this rack, kind of like rack and pinion steering, and wherever it's at, it locks every other cylinder in exactly the same place, so you have a runaway. The 92 series engine, they spring-loaded these little levers that push on the rack. So if one cylinder sticks, then you got one cylinder that's overfueling, which you got a bad engine knock because it's overfueling. and the rest, it prevents it from running away, which is really a good idea. These that aren't spring loaded, they're going to run with you. They're going to run with you. So anyhow, we're going to set him up here, and we're going to put this old girl down in the hole. We're going to put the crab on it. We're going to hook it up to shop air. And I figured that this engine is a 4 1/4 inch bore. My fingers don't want to work this morning. That's what happens when you get old like me. It's a 4 1/4 inch bore, and that's 14.86 inches of area. So if you put 150 pounds of air pressure on that, that would be 2,127 pounds of force pushing that piston down. So I'm hoping that between the piston and my bar on the end of there, that I can get some force to crank this engine just to get it to move. I've been soaking it now. This is about 6 weeks soaking and working and soaking and working and soaking and working. And I'm really ready to see the thing turn a little bit. I don't want to take the head off until I get it to turn. The liners in these are a hand fit liner, so they fit real loose. So if they're stuck, as soon as you go to bar the engine around, it's going to shove the liner right out of block, and that's really not what I want. I want to get it freed up because I want to salvage all the parts I can. So we're going to put this jet heater, and we're going to heat up this engine block, and we're going to get it really, really hot. And then once we get it hot, then we're going to put the air to it, see if we can get it to turn, but we're going to get it really hot before we do that. That engine's going to want to try to roll. It might try to roll right, it might try to roll left, so you better be careful when you do something like this. It didn't budge. Oh, that's a good feeling. Now she's turning. Now we got a chance, huh? Absolutely. It turned. I can't tell how much it turned. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the camera and I'm going to put it down in the air box and let you look at the pistons, and you'll probably see the difference in the pistons. It probably turned about 90 degrees, but let me get the camera and run it down inside the air box and let you look. I see that one right there. I can't tell from here, but that looks like rust, which it might be rust, I don't know. That one there, I can't see down in here at all. I'm just guessing what I'm showing you here. And that one back down there, which would be number 6, I don't know what that is either. And then if you look in the cylinder head here, I can't really tell what I'm showing you, but that was number 6, and this is number 5, and this is number 4, and number 3, and number 2, and number 1. So let's go up here now and get that light out of there. And let me go up here and see, by moving that, did any of the fuel injectors stick down. So if you see any of them that have any space between the injector rocker arm and the top of this injector, if there's a big gap there, she's stuck. So far those don't look like they're stuck. That's our homemade one. That one there looks good, because there'll be a gap between the two. Of course, we haven't turned it but just about 90 degrees. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a pipe wrench on there, and we're going to start barring it around, and then we'll see. We'll go ahead and put this fuel injector back in here, the original one, and we're going to go see if any of them stick down. And hope. So I just went in there and I put curl oil all over everything, all the upper end, the lower end. I shot all the cylinders that I showed you full of curl oil, and everything's just totally saturated. So we're going to see now if we can get her a couple of revolutions. Would be nice. We're hoping for, anyhow. We're hoping for. She is stiff. She stopped. She stopped. No fuel injector stuck. We're going to have to go the other way. More penetrating oil. Bring on the penetrating oil. Oh, yeah, baby. It's still got a pretty hard spot in it, but by golly, we're getting through it. We are getting through it. Yeah, baby. Brings back old memories of the green weenie. I never seen an engine stuck tighter than that one, though. That was unbelievable. It was a good thing I was a young man then. I'd have never done it today. I'd have probably had a broken neck if I'd done it today. By golly, I'll tell you what. I'm pretty tickled with that. I'm pretty tickled with that. I think that I get my mirror and I'll go down there and start looking at them pistons and them rings, and we'll see what we got and determine whether we're going to put it on a cradle and start it up, which, you know what, we could put it on a cradle and try to fire it up, or disassemble the whole thing and put it back together again. I don't know which, but we'll figure something out.